My dear friends, respected friends and brothers, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has created us for a purpose. This purpose that Allah has created us for is the submission of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. This is why we are created. Those who submit to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will give them success, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will give them victory. Those who don't submit to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, they're going to get the punishment of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. My dear friends, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has created this world as a test. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is testing us in this world. Why is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala testing us? I'll give an example with regards to school. For school, if there are two students, one student, he gets his degree, but he doesn't make any effort for it, then without doing any effort, without doing any mujahidah, he gets his degree. But the other person, he puts in lots of effort, but he doesn't get his degree. He aces all his courses, but they don't give him the degree. This is going to be unjust and unfair. So the same way for school, you're getting tested, you're getting put through trial, and then once you are successful in that trial, you get a reward. Similarly, in this dunya, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tests us. And for those of us who are successful in this test, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala rewards us. So what is the reward and what is the punishment? Firstly, with regards to the reward, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives Jannah. This is the reward that we're going to get in the afterlife. So why is the reward of Jannah necessary? Why is Jannah just for us to have? For instance, if there's a person, they lived their entire life in struggle, they lived their entire life in difficulty. For instance, you look at the life of Prophet Ayyub al-Islam. The Prophet Ayyub al-Islam, he was a pious person, he was a prophet, he was a muballigh of deen, he called people towards Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And he got tested and trialed through the loss of children, the loss of wealth and property, and the loss of health. So he lost all these three things, and this is why, because he went through all this difficulty, Allah then rewarded him at the end. Allah has granted him Jannah. Similarly, with anybody else, somebody lives an entire life of struggle with lots of difficulties and things placed upon him by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, things that we don't have control over. Somebody gets born into a household which is poor. This person doesn't have control over this. This is from the will of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So he lives his entire life, regardless of his difficulty, he's still fulfilling the commandments of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and he's fulfilling the rights of the people. So for such a person, is it fair that this person at the end, his life ends, and he just gets turned into dust, and there the game ends, game is over? Is this fair? Or is it fair that a person who goes through such a struggle, goes through such a difficulty, God-given struggle and God-given test, not a test that you bring upon yourself because of your mistake, but a God-given test, it is just and it is fair for this person that they get rewarded with paradise, they get rewarded with ultimate success. This is what is just. And then some people have an issue with hellfire, that why is there such a harsh punishment for those who are disbelievers and those who don't fulfill the commandments of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? Why is there such a harsh punishment that they're getting burnt in such a scorching fire, and this is a repeated punishment? Well, you look at the example, you look at people who have done terrible deeds, who have oppressed others to such a large extent. I'll give two examples which will really hit home. One example is with Genghis Khan. He slaughtered so many Muslims, lots of Muslims. He burnt many Muslims alive. So is it just that he just gets a death and that's it, and then he's turned into dust? Is this just? And is it just that Adolf Hitler, the person who put so many people in gas chambers, who tortured millions of people for no valid reason, is it just that he commits so much torture to the other people, but he simply gets a bullet to the head and that's game over? This isn't fair, this isn't justice. This is why hellfire exists. Hellfire exists for those people who violate the rights of other people, the things that they owe to other people, and they violate the rights of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the things that they owe to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. This is why Jahannam and Jannah is necessary. And this is why these two things are things which are there as a balance to keep justice, because Allah is just. So now that we understand both these things are necessary, what are the rewards of Jannah? Because this is our ultimate goal. So if somebody tells you that you got to do all these tasks and at the end you'll get this, for example, a mother tells their kids you got to go to sleep on time and you'll get candy at the end. You see the reward. The reward is what motivates you. It's not the actual task, it's the reward. So the reward that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives us, the candy that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives us is Jannah. And on the inverse, the punishment that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives us to keep us away from violating Allah and people is Jahannam. So firstly, I'll start with Jahannam. You start with the bad news, then you go to the good news. So what happens in Jahannam? First and foremost, my friends, just a brief description. Jahannam is a scorching hot place. And in Jahannam, it is mentioned that a person, they will be in the depths of Jahannam in accordance to the sins they have committed. So if you're a bigger sinner, you're going to be in a bigger depth in Jahannam. Furthermore, a person, when their skin is burnt in Jahannam, then it isn't like the dunya. You get burnt for 2 minutes, you're dead, and it's done. In Jahannam, you get burnt. After this, going through this torture and pain, your skin gets re-healed again, and then it's burnt again. This is mentioned in hadith. This is a part of our faith, our iman. So this is the punishment of hell. Furthermore, what are you drinking? You're drinking boiling water. And you're going to be a person, you could imagine in the heat how thirsty a person gets. You don't care about juice, milk, anything, you just care about water. Water is the best thing, better than all these other sweets, pizzas, anything else, water. So in such a state, scorching hot area like Jahannam, you're going to be in such desire of water. And what will you get? Boiling hot water. And how will you be drinking it? You'll be drinking it like a thirsty camel. So this is going to be the state of your thirst, that it's boiling water you're drinking, but you're still drinking it like a thirsty camel, just because of the state that you're in, the extreme state. Furthermore, you're going to be eating fire. This is going to be the nutrition for the person in hell. So my friends, it's ultimate in this punishment. It doesn't have a limit to it. This punishment, it goes on and on and on. It is everlasting and it is never going to end. So in the person, the ikhlas, the sincerity with which a person will be asking Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in hellfire, Ya Allah save me, Ya Allah take me out of here, Ya Allah I'll be good next time, Ya Allah I will change my ways. This is more sincerity than he can ever have in the dunya, because now he's seeing everything for real. But at that time, the doors of repentance will be closed, the doors for a second chance will be closed, and there is nothing he could do about it. So this is Jahannam. So my dear friends, we need to bring iman into this, and we need to understand that there is a Jahannam. This is reality, and us as human beings, if we don't correct ourselves, if we don't follow in the seerah of Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam, then this can perhaps be our destination. Now, what will the reward be of those people who are successful? Those people who get Jannah, they're going to get everlasting paradise. They're going to get everlasting reward. In the Qur'an, in many, many places, it is mentioned that those people of Jannah, they will get gardens underneath which rivers flow. So everything which is appealing and appeasing to the person, the thing which soothes a person's heart, it soothes a person's heart to be in a location which is beautiful, it has nice greenery, it has nice palm trees, and gardens and water, coastal view. This is something which soothes a person's heart, which is why they go tourism in places like Hawaii, in beaches, in gardens, in mountainous areas, because people like going to things which have attraction and beauty in them. And this is what a person will get in Jannah. Gardens underneath which rivers flow. I've said this many times, but in the dunya, when you have a river or water by a house, the valuation of the house gets increased by so much because there's coastal view. In Jannah, my friends, the coastal view which you're going to get is going to be that the rivers will be flowing underneath the homes. So imagine if we were to put a valuation on these houses, what this valuation would be. So this is the reward that's coming, my friends. Furthermore, in Jannah, what the food a person will be eating. It's mentioned in the Qur'an that a person will say, this looks similar to what I used to have in the dunya, but it is far greater. It's going to look similar, but it's going to be far greater. It's going to be an apple, but it's going to be like an apple that you've never tasted before. And in the dunya, the things always decrease. You eat something, eventually the flavor of it will decrease until you're full. In Jannah, you will never get full, but you will never be in a state of hunger which is uncomfortable. And you can continue eating and eating, and the taste and flavor will only increase. It will never decrease. This is the fantastic thing which will happen. And you will get all sorts of dishes, all sorts of sweets, anything that you wish for and desire for. Furthermore, the impediments which a person faces in this dunya, impediments such as sleep. Sleep takes up a person's time, but it's necessary to gain rest. In Jannah, you will have unlimited energy and you will no longer need sleep. All your time is yours, no more sleeping, just activities and fun. This is number one. Furthermore, the desire, sometimes a person, they have to alleviate themselves in the washroom. You're no longer going to get this. This feeling of going there is ever going to be gone. So you're going to be free from that impediment. Furthermore, you'll always be healthy and you'll always be strong, and you'll never get any pain which will touch you. Furthermore, it is mentioned that the believing people who will get Jannah, they will get huralin. They will get women of Jannah with big eyes. With big eyes, and they'll be more beautiful than you can ever imagine. And every time a person looks at his hur, his wife in Jannah, she will increase in beauty. She won't decrease. Like the way in dunya, eventually over time, it expires. But in Jannah, there's no expiry date. It's always going to increase. So my friends, these are all the rewards of Jannah, and this is why we should work towards Jannah. Furthermore, you'll get a chance to meet with the Anbiya, meet with those people you most love, who are most dear to you, and you'll get a chance to see Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. This is where you'll be the closest to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You'll get a chance to be in direct connection, because the thing which soothes a person's heart the most, more than any other desire, more than any other pleasure, is the true connection with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. In Jannah, you'll be directly connected with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And there will be no more obligations, no more difficulties, no more trials. This is Jannah, my friends. So this is something that we need to work for. And this is something that on a daily basis, this needs to be our concern. If a person makes his concern the akhirah, that my concern is how can I get Jannah and how can I be saved from Jahannam, then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala makes all his worldly affairs easy, and Allah collects all his worldly affairs. So he's not going to be hassled. He's not going to be in a difficulty. He's going to be actually more efficient. And his dunya will not decrease, his dunya will increase. So this is why, my friends, we need to work for Jannah and we need to stay away from Jahannam. So this is what we're working for. What are the roadblocks in this? What are the roadblocks? The roadblocks, the tests which we get are various tests. These tests include you're tested with your family, you're tested with your friends, you're tested with your career and your job. Some people are jobless, this is their test. Some people have financial issues, this is their test. So in the world, everybody is tested to their own according. However much they could handle, that's how much they're tested. We're tested less, the Sahaba were tested more. Some people, they're weaker, they're tested less. People in Palestine, they're tested more, they're stronger. So we're all being tested. And one of our biggest tests is our nafs. Nafs, the inner desire. This nafs, the inner desire, what it loads for is to get more money. It loads for women. It loads for haram. It loads for popularity and to have success and to be well known. This is what the nafs desires for. And the nafs fuels all your other difficulties and problems. Let's say you have financial issues. The nafs will then give you waswasa, give you desire that you have financial issues. It will make you go into depression, that I have these financial issues, why do I not have money, this and that. Furthermore, another test, the shaitan. The shaitan is our clear enemy. And he refused to do sajda to Adam al-Islam out of jealousy and out of the feeling that I am better than you. So Adam al-Islam is our father. He is an enemy to our father. So he's also our enemy as well. And the shaitan is working, he's attacking us from every direction to do everything that he could do to take us towards Jahannam. This is why, my friends, there are two pathways to go through. There's the pathway of the Anbiya and the Sahaba, and there's a pathway of the shaitan, the devil. So this is why we need to correct ourselves and refuse all the invitations of shaitan. Shaitan will take all your issues, all your tests, and he will give you waswasas regarding them, and he will try to increase you in them, and he will try to make you forgetful of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. This is what the shaitan will try to do. And the shaitan, he doesn't take a person towards the wrong direction just directly or right away. He takes them on footsteps. One step after another, he will take you towards the wrong. Shaitan will not tell you right away, do money laundering. He's going to tell you, steal the chappal, steal the slipper from the masjid. This is where it'll start. He'll say, steal this candy from the candy bar. And then like this, it will build up and you'll become a money launderer. So shaitan takes a person on footsteps. So we need to reverse gears. We need to move away from this. Now, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has highlighted for us what success is, what failure is. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in the Qur'an, wal asr, by time. Innal insana lafi khusr. Indeed, mankind is in loss. Illa alladhina amanu wa amilu salihati wa tawasaw bil haqqi wa tawasaw bis sabr. Except for those who have the four following qualities, who have believed, who have done righteous deeds, who have called towards the truth, and who have called towards patience.